Today we are showing a 7-foot Vintner Series 5-column wine rack being assembled. Our installer uses an easy way to nail the posts together if you're assembling multiple racks. He takes the spacer bars and uses those to stabilize. Put your 2 spacer bars down and insert 4 double racks into the dados. You can also use the back braces to do the same thing, or simply stand the racks up vertically to nail them together. Reviewing your assembly manual, the double racks are the ones with the bottle slot rails on each side of the post. The front side of the double racks have beveled ends. The back side is where the middle rail does not come to the end to make room for the spacer bar. Be sure all your double racks are positioned the correct way before nailing. As we're working on the back side of the wine rack, the 3-foot tall 5-column needs 3 notch spacer bars, one on the top, the middle, and the bottom. Our manual says the top and bottom spacer bar should only have 1 nail on each end, while the middle spacer bar should have a nail in each post. This works for regular nails, but when you're using a nail gun, which we recommend, it's preferable to put double nails on each notch on the back side of the rack. That would not be viewable once your rack is attached to the wall. Let's go ahead and speed through this portion. Once your double racks are securely nailed with your nail gun, add each left and right side rack to either side and nail them in. We will slow down this upcoming example so you can get a better close-up view on how you're fitting in the side rack. Once it's adjusted, nail the spacer bar into the post. Now that the back side is nailed together on each spacer bar, you will want to take your back brace bars, which help stabilize the rack, and place them next to the top and bottom spacer bars. You can see our installer is making sure they're securely up against the back of the racks by using a mallet. After they are secure, use your nail gun and double nail into each post. If you're using regular nails, you can simply do it on each side or once per post. The back side of the wine rack is completed. Turn it around carefully and remove your placeholder bars. The last spacer bar goes in the middle of the rack. Use your nail gun to nail 1 nail into each spacer bar. Remember, you can get matching wood putty from your nearest hardware store to cover up the nails. You should have 2 square wood attachments. One is for the base, the other is for the crown. If you're stacking the racks, wait to attach the bottom trim board. In this case, Joe's attaching the top. Square it up nicely with the top of the rack, and with your nail gun, double nail it in on all notches. As we are stacking this rack, this concludes the assembly of the 3-foot 5-column. The next few minutes we'll go over the 4-foot and the 4-foot with display. Fast forward to see stacking options. Let's zoom in on the 4-foot. Joe's using the same strategy of setting down the spacer bars and placing the double rails in them gently while he first assembles the back of the rack. There is no difference to assembling the 2 racks other than the 4-foot rack is a foot longer. You have 3 spacer bars on the back of the rack along with the 2 back brace stabilizer bars. On this 4-foot rack, the middle spacer bar is placed on the 7th rail from the bottom. As mentioned earlier, when stacking multiple racks, you wait to attach the trim board so it's flush in the front. This concludes our quick assembly of the 4-foot 5-column Vintner wine rack. Moving along to a 4-foot rack with the display, again it's similar but slightly different in regards to the spacer bars. On the display racks, you have an extra spacer bar in the back that lines up with the display row. So 1 on the top and bottom, 1 near the top on the display row, and the final one in the middle. The rails are slotted in the middle, so it's easy to figure out where to put it in that middle section. I want to point out that the top row is slanted to display the wine bottle once assembled. Be sure when lining up your double racks that the display rows match up and you have them laid out correctly. On the front of the display wine rack, you have a spacer bar for the display row and 1 for the middle row, as well as attaching the base and crown trim. Since this wine rack will be the bottom of the stack, Joe is attaching both. Here are the trim kit instructions when stacking. You add on the stackable beam supports to either side. You make sure it's flush to the top. Here Joe is doing some minor cleanup work from the staples, but make sure it's clear and lay down the beam so it'll be completely flush to the top of the post. In this case, Joe again is doing 2 nails on either side and then 1 nail into each post. Now our 3rd rack is completely assembled and we show you how the top rack is stacked. Let's go move this rack over and we'll show you how. Here we have Joe setting a 3-foot rack on top of a 4-foot rack. The stackable beam supports are on the lower rack already, but the bottom trim is not on the top rack. The reason being is that you want to line it up so the top and bottom posts are in line and you can toenail in a nail to connect them together. That means that you drive a nail in at an angle through a board, right through the top post to the stackable beam support below. You'll want to do this on every post in front, as well as every post in back, although our installer is only showing you one example in the back. Now that the 2 racks are connected, you can finally add on the bottom trim to make sure it's flush against the bottom post and looks great. As a reminder, we sell beautiful center moldings to hide this connection spot, which really finishes off the rack. Hope this assembly manual helped.